Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another One Meal Channel episode. Today we are going to be making scalloped potatoes by a crock pot. So thank you for joining. This has come per recommendation of one of our cherished viewers from the video that we posted yesterday, and so we're going to give it a shot today. How's everybody doing? How's everybody enjoying their weekend? I, full transparency, went out and grabbed a meal already with Noah, so this is going to be a good, side dish, let's say, for tonight with what I eat. First, we're starting out with some cured salt pork. This is about 12 ounces. You can use ham steak, you can use whatever you want, but it has to be ham and cubed. You could try something different, just like some bacon. We're going to cook all of that up because we don't want any uncooked meat in our scalloped potatoes, because we're going to have basically scalloped potatoes and ham. We're going to make a sauce with some onions and some really nice large cloves of garlic that have already been peeled. We're going to make this sauce with some heavy whipping cream, some chicken stock, butter, and a little bit of flour, and top it all off with some cheese. So let's get started with the cooking process of our pork. Then we'll move forward into making the sauce, and while this is cooking up, we will peel our potatoes. All in all, this process should take less than a half an hour to complete. Leave it in the crock pot for 4 to 6 hours, and then we'll be able to move it to basically any other compartment that we want for long-term storage. This is also really nice if you want to make a good breakfast for yourself with some nice thick pieces of pork that cooks up very similar to the consistency of bacon. As you can see, this comes out like a very nice thick bacon strip. I would like this on, let's say, like a sandwich, like a BLT. I would use this in the same situation. But in our case, we're going to cube it. So let's cut this into some nice long strips. Perfect. Put 2 right here. We have our roommate working hard in the background right now. It's always good to share a space with another person so that you're not constantly alone, focusing on phone calls and things like that. Be like your main way of having human interaction. Some of you are in that situation right now, which is exactly why we have this channel. So for you folks who want a little bit of human interaction without getting it in person, can tune in to the One Meal Channel almost every single day. We can share a meal with one another, at least the cooking process. Okay, so these are some nice cubes. I'll grab some more strips over here. Let's see if we can cut all of this without dropping any on the floor. Okay, a few more strips now. It's about 12 ounces. I think the recipe that I referenced this meal off of calls for 8. You don't mind if we deviate from the recipe just a little bit. What am I going to do with that leftover 4 ounces of pork? Actually make breakfast for myself? You know I don't make breakfasts. Well, I do make breakfast, but I don't eat it in the morning. There we go. We'll finish this off here. See, we're not even going to do all of the prep work ahead of time before the video. I like that for a consolidation sake when I'm watching a video, but I want you to have a realistic expectation of how long this is going to take instead of just taking my word for it. I'm going to be cutting up some vegetables now, so clean up the surface of our cutting board with some soapy hot water. And you know what? Let's do our knife as well. Perfect. We'll do our onion next. We want this nice and finely chopped. This onion looks uniquely raggedy, so we're going to take off the thick top layer here. And again, this is going to be for a sauce. So finely chopped, like I said, it's going to be important. Sorry, the camera went out of frame just a little bit there. Just trying to focus. Perfect. And that will caramelize nicely. A couple of big pieces are still in there. Those end pieces. Try to give them just a little bit of a better chop. But everything else I think will caramelize up quite nicely. And we'll push this off to the side. Another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to bring out our handy dandy bopper. As I start crying, is these onions. There we go. Lovely bopped garlic. Get a little bit of this garlic flavoring in our eyes as well. Counteract the onion. As you know, that is scientifically how it works. Let's see what we got here. A little bit of extra We'll throw this over off to the side. I'm getting a phone call right now, but my hands are just too messy to answer it. So whoever's calling me on a Saturday needs to wait. They know that Saturdays are my me days. It's nice to have a me day, isn't it? We'll give the pork a quick little flip. Check just to make sure it wasn't an emergency. It was not an emergency, but I will call that guy back. It's another one of my good friends. I don't think he knows I make these videos. I don't think he knows I'm a professional one-mealer. Turn the temperature up just a little bit. Not really getting the thorough cook that I was expecting out of this. And for you longtime viewers, you know I don't usually cook with pork. I don't usually cook with pork. And some of you say, no, you cook with bacon every day. So okay, yeah, you got me there. And that's the same thing. Let's say like pork chops, anything that's not cured, that's from a pig, I usually don't have. So we're not departing from that. It's still cured meat. We're slowly moving away out of the realm of traditional bacon. There we go. Good. Good old potato, number one. Dang, these potatoes got some character to them. Got some blemishes. Oh, especially this one, my goodness. What's up with this potato? And we might need to cut that whole part of it off. Looks like it's trying to sprout. If you're going to make scalloped potatoes, something that would help is by having a mandolin. I don't think I have one, because basically it's almost exclusively used for scalloped potatoes. So we are going to take on the daunting task of cutting these potatoes really thin by hand. Now, I really like the skins of my potatoes, but for scalloped, you know, you can't really keep them on, can you? There we go, and this last one cleaned up a lot better than the others. It's perfect. Well, no more peeling needed, so we'll put that away. We have our big handful of skins. Maybe you have a compost pile, something that these can be used for. Maybe you have your own chickens, something like that. This would be perfect little scraps for the chickens or your compost pile to be used for. Put your eggshells in. I do not have that. Cannot repurpose it. And you know, if you live nearby, I would have been happy to drop this off for you to use. But I live in internet land. It's no option for us right now. Good. Well, this looks like, it sounds like, we're getting a much better cook on these at the moment. Nice is what we want. Yep, and it's leaving behind a little bit of residue, which is also nice. We're just going to throw some butter in here, So I'm not too concerned about whether we get a good amount of fat left behind. And cook that up. And basically the biggest challenge of this process is going to be just making the sauce. The sauce requires a lot of whisking throughout the entire process after these vegetables caramelize. So I just want to make sure that I have my potatoes already cut very thinly by the time they're ready to go. So I think that's good. It's a good thinness right there. Let's see if we can be consistent all the way through. We're going to layer the entire bottom of our crock pot with just one potato at a time. So I really want to get these as thin as possible without compromising a single slice. And this slice right here, I think we can get right down in the middle. Yeah, so this is going to be one of the thicker pieces, but on this side I think we have it done pretty well. I think we'll be able to cover the bottom just fine with that one, and that's one of our larger ones. Let's see what we can do with this one. See, I'm trying a little different technique and it's not going too well. That's okay, this will be the layer on top of what our base layer is. We're just doing our base layer. Yeah, this one's pretty thick as well. I don't know, do you think we can do it sideways without hurting ourselves? Oh, it didn't turn out very well. Like I said, a mandolin is really what you want in a circumstance like this. Yeah, another little sliver. We'll leave the super thick piece. I mean, it's not super thick, it's barely 2 millimeters thick. But this is more of the color that I'm looking for this pork. Kind of crispy on the edges. I'm going to turn up the temperature just a little bit more. I do think that this is cooked all the way through, but I just want some more crispiness. We're almost done with our potatoes. I'm ready to make our sauce. See how much time has elapsed. Almost 20 minutes, so yeah, might be a little bit more than 30 minutes of prep time. But as a lot of you have pointed out, I do cut very slowly. Wouldn't call it methodical, just a little, not clumsy, not methodical, just not, don't demonstrate a whole lot of technique. And I hope you've been hearing the crackling of the ham in the background. It's very therapeutic for me. There we go, it's a little bit better. Obviously that's not good, but it's a little bit better. This is the thickest piece of them all. So, again, we're not trying to impress anyone. We're just trying to feed ourselves, and that's better. A little bit thick on this side, just thin on the other side. We'll make it work. And this is the bottom layer right here. Okay. Bacon is a crackling. Bacon is a crackling. Give us another minute. Starting to smell it burn ever so slightly, so get a bowl so we can repurpose this for later. And adding all that bacon grease in there is just fine. Yeah. Passes the taste test. That was cured extremely well. Because that's super salty. That is super salty. And so adding it in to the rest of our meal is going to turn out very well. So here we have 4 little half sticks. How many tablespoons is this? 4. The recipe calls for 3. We're going to put a whole stick in. I'm going to put a whole stick of butter in. And now I'm going to grab another bowl just for our potatoes, so we just don't have any mistakes occur. Let's put this in last since it's going in first. Put all the crappy stuff here on the bottom. Put this on top like that. Let's grab a whisk. Let this get up to temp. And throw in back here. Good. Oh, gonna cry. Ah, I'm gonna cry. Now, do I have any pan spray? Just double check. I don't think so. Which in that case, I'll just use, excuse me, another stick of butter. How many pan spray? Don't see any. Just want to make sure when we put our potatoes in, that we do not have any stick to the base. So while that's heating up, let's take a quick look at my recipe here. Okay. It's a little too high of heat. It's interesting, when you get to medium heat, you think that it's just a little bit, just not enough. You put a tab over medium and just scorch all of your vegetables. Alright, we'll get this nice and well cooked. I'm going to add, let's say, a 1/4 cup of flour. I don't know exactly how much a 1/4 cup is. It seems like a lot. So I'm going to start with 3 tablespoons. I think a 1/4 cup would be about 4 or 5 tablespoons. But I know the reason for it is that it's supposed to mix in with the butter to make a bit of a roux, which is great for sauces. And when you cook the roux, it burns lightly. Giving that kind of oaky, woody flavor to it. It's nice. And that's why we have a whisk, because as the sauce continues to emulsify, it will mix into the sauce. So I think this is good. I only put 3 tablespoons in here, but as you can see, this is kind of joined up nice, and you don't see that flour anymore. I could put another tablespoon in there, but frankly, I think this is fine. If I'm wrong, we'll find out. So let us add about a cup of our chicken stock. I'm just going to eyeball it, slowly whisking it in. And we don't want it to burn. Add a little bit more of this. And then we're going to add, since I have more butter, and probably a little bit more flour than what the recipe asked for, but we need a little bit more stock and a little bit more heavy whipping cream. Let's incorporate the stock into our flour, make this kind of thick paste. And then we'll switch over here to the heavy whipping cream. We'll probably put all of this in there. So let's pour it in here. Let's pour about half of it in. I definitely will need more than this. Perfect. Pour the rest of this in. I want to go slower so that we do not make a mess. And all these clumps, that's the onion. Turning up the heat a little bit to help this emulsify, and if I was a bit smarter, I wouldn't have just dumped the rest of that in. I would have slowly added it and kept a whisking motion. But I noticed that I was making a mess, and I wanted to avoid that. So what we're doing now is we're just going to try to fold this cream that you see on the outside into the rest of our mixture here. And I think when we do that, we'll have a nice consistency, a nice thick sauce. And we're going to keep the temperature going upwards to help with that process. Another thing I think might be useful right about now is maybe folding it into itself here. Again, just helping the fact that we do not want it to burn. Well, this is turning into a nice, beautiful sauce. And we're just going to be really thorough and make sure that all of that cream folds into itself. Excellent. I think that's good, at least from a consistency standpoint. So we'll add a little bit of salt. We'll add some paprika. We'll add some oregano. And then we'll move back to the whisk. And there we go, we have a nice thick sauce, which is excellent. You can even make it a little less thick by adding some more stock to it, but I just don't find that necessary. I think this is plenty as is. And as you can see, as you run through it, like say we'll just use a spatula instead, it's a good sauce because you can see the base of the pan. So I think I'll leave this kind of on medium-low heat. While I get the crock pot ready. And just confirm real quick, yeah, it's a good temp. Good, that's a good flavor. You can add some more seasoning to it if you like. I don't want anything really overwhelming. So I'm happy with it. Oh, crap, that's the chicken stock one. I don't want any overwhelming flavors. We're already adding the pork, which is extremely salty. I think when that salt mixes, it's going to work just fine. So I'm going to leave that there. Kind of let that bubble and simmer on itself, which is good. And then we'll get started with the assembly process. So how am I on time? Oh, we're way over. We are way over. But you can probably see how you can get your time down pretty significantly with a little bit more efficiency. Get this pulled out here. Let's cover the bottom with butter. As well as the sides, because I've been having this preheat for a while. I'm not going to leave this stick in here, although it is very hot, and so it's kind of hard to grab now that it's melted. There we go. There we go. I'm just going to place this right here for now. Where is our... Good. Let's grab ourselves a handful of potatoes. Give ourselves a nice base layer here. This is always going to be a fun time, especially if you have kids doing the layering process. I remember doing this when I was a kid and just absolutely loved it. Okay, here's our really big, thick piece that we will put in the middle. I think in the meantime we'll wait to grab a couple of other pieces. Try to layer it as such. Good, and we'll put our big piece right here in the middle. Good, 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 good. So I think after that, it's time for our sauce over the top. Seeing a little bit of separation, so I'm gonna whisk all that in again. going to grab this right here. Pour that on in the middle. Add about a third of this in here. Good. Just trying to make as little of a mess as possible. Take our spatula and kind of spread this out over the top. We'll add some cheese. I think your go-to should be cheddar. Add some leftover Mexican cheese that I'm just going to use all of today. So just put a layer of cheese on top of that. Use a little bit more. Good. And then we'll do the ham. And this has had a chance to cool down. So we'll do a handful of the ham here. Good. And then we just repeat that layering process. So again, we have some pretty crappy pieces here. What we'll do is we'll just put the good pieces here. I'm going to actually start in the middle. Put some of the crappy pieces around it. Let's take one more big piece and put it like right here or something like that. Good. And what we'll have is, I don't know, almost enough to put a whole nother layer on top. So let's take this. Put another layer of sauce on. I'm pretty liberal with this second coat because the rest is going in on the top. We'll add this piece, smooth it all the way out, the edges. Cheese. Bacon, or just cubed pork. And then the final part here. Yeah, we won't have enough to put a whole new layer on. In an ideal scenario, we would have probably another potato to go along with this, but whatever. Like I said, we're not doing this to impress anyone, we're just doing this to feed ourselves. You know, I will just kind of spread all these pieces out, even though they're not folded on top of each other. Perfect. get the rest of this sauce in here. Perfect. Let's get everything that we have in here as well. As well as the outside. Good. A layer of this. Final layer of cheese to hold it all together. About 2 cups in total. Again, I'm eyeballing it. And finally, our bacon to top it all off. The base of this has a lot of bacon grease in it. I'm not going to worry about including any of that. We'll just leave it as such. Perfect. And just like that, we have ourselves a fully prepped crock pot scalloped potatoes and ham. We're going to put the lid on this. I'm going to put it on high and let this sit for 4 to 6 hours, checking on it periodically. And by the time this is all done, I will return and we will enjoy a devilishly delicious meal this afternoon. All right, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the final result.